Clap succeeded.
Clap initiated. You now have an STD.
Yeah, you now have the clap. Here we go.
Why do we not clip these parts? Like, we should totally just make clips of us, like, before we
No,
start the actual...
We don't put these parts because we literally do this every time we record. There's about 1,000 clips of us going, do the clap.
Yeah.
Give us the clap.
That sounds like
All
an
right,
STD.
man, here we... STD, bro. What's going on, everybody? Critic and the Common Man here yet again. And if you've been paying attention, then you'll know that because we are wearing the button-down shirts and I've gotten dressed up for you guys, and because of course, the thumbnail and title of the video/audio that you are watching or listening to, you'll know that today is another rendition of our Millennials Review Classics. Up today, a movie that everybody has heard of, surprisingly few people in our generation have seen, including myself. I had never seen this before. We are talking Casablanca. I don't think that movies that are 80 years old really require a spoiler warning, but with every Critic in the Common Man review, you're going to get one, so this is your spoiler warning. If you have not seen Casablanca, Gen Z, we're looking at you.
There's like an
too,
86-year-old
honestly,
man right now who is watching this who's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, turn it off. I've waited this long. If you've not seen Casablanca, we're about to spoil it for you, so make sure you go watch it. You know what? I was pleasantly surprised, man. It's not that long of a movie.
No, it's really not.
I feel like
and it goes pretty quick.
Yeah, and it does. And when you get to some of these classics, especially the ones we've been watching, the Seven Samurai, that's like a 3-hour movie, if not more.
I think it was 3.5.
We watched that one. What did we watch? Some Like It Hot. That was not bad. That was like a little over 2 hours, so it wasn't too bad. This one I think is about an hour and 45 minutes. So this feels pretty quick. It feels like kind of the Netflix movies and whatnot that you're used to watching, nowadays. So have you seen this one before, Chris, or was this your first time watching it?
No, I've seen this one before a handful of times. I watched it once for film class, but we'd only seen pieces of it, and then I decided, as a film person, I wanted to watch it, so I saw it again, completely. And then I've rewatched it since then and then today.
I have heard the name or the word, and I know it's a place, but I've heard, the name Casablanca. It seems like my whole life. I can't remember the first time I ever, thought of somebody or heard somebody talking about that movie, but Casablanca seems like something, at least the word, everybody either knows of or has heard. I mean, if you've never even heard somebody mention the movie Casablanca, you're living under a rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is strange because this thing was made in, 1943? Or was in theaters?
It was supposed to come out in 1943, so I did some research this time for this one. It was supposed to come out in 1943, and they released it early because they wanted it to coincide with the invasion of North Africa for the Allies.
War.
So that's what's crazy about this. This movie is about World War II, at the height of World War II, and it was released in during World War II. And they didn't want it shown to any of the forces that were invading Africa because they didn't want anybody they didn't want any hate crimes going on because of the representation of the movie and stuff. So Allied forces were strictly forbidden from watching it.
Well, it's kind of weird to think, too, that life in America was still going on in some sense, even while the war was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at all the, Rosie the Riveter, and you look at all the old propaganda and whatnot for, bolster the front and do your part, and, the one who slacks helps the Axis and all that stuff.
Sink ships.
Yeah, loose lips, sink ships, all those things. You kind of think of America during World War II as sort of just this giant factory where everybody was in a factory making bullets or guns or clothing or munitions or whatever and sending them out. And I think in some part that's probably kind of true. Mm-hmm. But, it
provided jobs, yeah.
Right. And the women and, the men who weren't out at war for whatever reason, they still had to do something for entertainment. So I guess it makes sense that this movie would be released, to the American people during the war. But was this filmed during the war?
Yeah. This was filmed, I think, 1941 and then released 1942.
And do you know, did they film this in Hollywood or were they actually on scene somewhere else?
No, I'm pretty sure this was filmed on a set, as most movies were back then. And this is a Warner Brothers movie, so I'm pretty sure it was filmed literally on Hollywood Boulevard in the studios that were.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It is. And then I think the last scene with the airplane, which I think, being somebody who rode the Great Movie Ride, you would recognize there.
Dude, I was totally gonna bring it up.
Yeah. I was watching that, and I was like, I lost my shit for a moment. I was like, oh wait, he knows what that is. I was like, he's gonna go crazy for that.
It's sad because all the Disney fans out there. Is there a Great Movie Ride in Disneyland?
No.
Or is that just a Disney World
No,
thing?
unfortunately not. Yeah.
Obviously, Chris and I kind of cover the whole thing there, where I'm in Orlando and he's in California, so we
One
respectively
podcast,
go to
3,000 miles apart.
That's right. Half of our Instagram followers are from India. Oh man, shout out to that clip if you guys saw it. Drop a like if you know what we're talking about. In fact, honestly, if you're watching this, if we could just take a second, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, it really helps us out a lot.
There.
We realized that it super helps us find people, but that's just a quick excerpt. We just wanted to throw that out there. We really appreciate you guys watching.
Linda, stop picking your nose.
Come on, Linda.
It's right there. Jimmy.
Don't do it if
bro,
you're driving.
Don't.
If you're driving, then you're good. Tell that car in front of you to speed it up.
Yeah,
and keep
come
it
on.
going. No, but it is funny because, Disney fans out there will know if you've ridden the Great Movie Ride, it's been around forever.
It's
They
the
have that
last
whole section
scene,
that's
isn't it?
in like the little montage. I think it is.
No.
But then as
they
you're
had like
going
the actual
through,
plane set up in the Great Movie Ride.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the last one. Gosh, it feels like forever ago since I've ridden that ride, and it's really only been like a year. I don't know, but it's in there, and I was picking up on the lines, and I was waiting for him. I don't know much, kid, but I know that the lives of 3 people don't amount to a pile of beans in this world, and frankly, I don't give a damn or whatever. I just, you're waiting for these lines from that ride to kind of come through, and it was cool to see that because, again, I never watched this movie before. It seems like Casablanca is still sort of the staple for a romance, drama kind of movie that they've created, and you can see elements of this in a lot of other films that, you can see elements of this in a lot of other films today. What kind of vibes were you getting from this movie, if any? Because I'll tell you, to me, this guy, Humphrey Bogart's character,
Rick,
he seemed like a combination of James Bond and Indiana Jones.
A little bit, yeah.
And it was like Indiana Jones because of the scenery and the setting, and then James Bond because of his kind of suave, demeanor that he had.
I don't want any trouble in here. You see? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that kind of sums up his character, honestly, because he's got like the Nazi fighting indie vibe, but exactly. But the wearing the suits and the cigar and drinking gin.
I wonder if this story of Casablanca, as far as its relation to how it portrayed things in the war, was true. Like, was Casablanca really a place that people went to kind of then escape into Lisbon and come to America?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm like an expert on like history in general, but like I love history. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how much of it is real and how much of it is like dramatized just for the movie's sake. But
is Casablanca even a real place?
It is. Yeah, I looked it up.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on the Morocco. It's in Morocco on the western coast of Morocco. I looked up some photos. Dude, it's gorgeous. I really want to go there.
It's got to be a huge tourist spot if it actually exists, just for
Rick's
people to say they've gone to
better be
Casablanca.
there.
Yeah, the Blue Parrot, Rick's Cafe, one of those. If somebody hasn't made one of those, then they've really missed the mark on it.
I saw the Blue Parrot when they were like, he's in the Blue Parrot, and then you see like the parrot on the little swing or whatever, and I was like, that's Adventureland.
Yeah. I was laughing when they were making that film. It's like, he's in the Blue Parrot. I'm like, you mean the gray parrot? Like the blackish gray parrot?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of, you can't really allude to color all that much in a black and white film.
Yeah.
They're like, he's in the Blue Parrot. Which one, the blue or the red one? It's like, look, man.
That one right over there.
Rewrite this a little bit.
Like 10 parrots all lined up.
Yeah. God damn. They're all the same color.
Although I was talking about it. The cool thing about black and white films is that because you don't have color in the films, there's only one thing they can do, and that's play off of contrast. And so I'm sure that, like you notice, and if you don't notice, it's a subconscious thing. But like whenever you see the women in black and white films, there's a slight spotlight on them that you can't see like a ring around them, but there's definitely like a highlight to them because they're being illuminated.
They're kind of glowing.
Yeah, and it's supposed to like blow out their imperfections and make them feel angelic and stuff. So it's kind of like the staple of like melodramatic films back from like that time period.
She almost looked like Ilsa? What was her
Ilsa, yeah,
name?
Ilsa Vond.
Yeah, I think so.
Vond.
She almost
Ilsa
looked.
Vond.
Yeah, she almost looked ghostly because of that. Every time you saw a close up, she kind of had teary eyes.
Yes,
which was probably from staring into the spotlight that they were blazing.
I was
into her
thinking about
eyeballs.
that
But
actually.
she had like teary eyes, and her skin looked just like milky, and she really almost looked kind of ghostly in a way. And,
but you can see why so many men and women were like infatuated with like the movie stars back then. You know, not even like generally in like a sexual way, but like just like in like, oh my god, you're a movie star kind of a way.
I wonder how big of a reception this got when it came out to theaters because of the time that it was released. Were
I looked
people
it up.
going to see movies a lot? How'd it do?
It grossed I think 3.5 million or 35 million. Either one is a lot of money back then. Obviously one more so than the other, but it, according to the site I referenced, it could be slightly wrong or whatever, but it was at the time the 7th highest grossing film of the year. So it was received pretty well by the population. And I don't know if you, well, I'm sure you saw, but there were like actual clips of World War II footage thrown into this film.
I didn't know if those were real or if they had
they were
somehow
real.
kind of dramatized that. I mean, that was pretty intense.
Yeah, where you saw like the P-51 Mustangs flying over and
and the soldiers marching and everything. Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah,
man.
that was
a
actual
scary
footage
time.
of the occupation of Paris.
God, that's a scary freaking time, man. And we were so disconnected from that, people in America, just because the war wasn't happening there or here, but that's still such a freaky thing. God, and it's crazy too, because this movie came out when I'm assuming the Warner Brothers themselves were probably still alive and like probably actually making these movies. I mean, I don't know how much earlier than the 40s Warner Brothers Studios existed. I have no idea, but I'm imagining this is back in the day when a lot of these things, Paramount, Warner Brothers, they were just this is when they were kind of cutting their teeth and getting to be what they are even today.
I want to say that Warner Brothers had been around for about 20 years at this point. Like I said, there were a lot of film companies at the time, but there were like 5 big ones. They were called the Big Five.
Okay.
And Warner Brothers was one of them. Paramount was the other. There were a few. Here are them.
MGM.
Yeah, exactly. And then
here they are.
RKO was the other one. Actually, I think RKO was considered one of the smaller ones, but oddly enough, RKO is the one that put out Snow White.
Really?
Yeah, RKO was the one that did all of the stuff with Disney and then eventually went under and kind of gave way to other companies. But yeah, RKO was the one that gave Disney his debut. As far as I believe, I never ever like to say that like I'm 100% sure on these facts because I don't, I could have mixed it up with something else I learned back in the day.
That's kind of depressing to think that this RKO studio was what started Disney in the theaters, and they don't even exist anymore. Yeah. Meanwhile, you've got all these other studios that made it, and one, the biggest production company out there right now, Disney, with Pixar and everything, RKO gave them their start, and all these other ones stood the test of time, and they did. It's funny to me. Do you know of any other big films that Humphrey Bogart or the actress who played Ilsa were in?
Humphrey Bogart, yes. I want to say that Humphrey Bogart was in Gone with the Wind.
Maybe. I'm just trying to wonder how I know these names.
Well, Humphrey Bogart is known for that attitude that you see. That was just kind of how he was casted. He was always that like there's entire would it be called colloquialisms, where like just entire like sayings that people say like, hey, don't Bogart that, stuff like that, that are just part of everyday speech. I mean, maybe not anymore, but back in the day, because he became such an icon.
I'm gonna try that one out next time I'm at the grocery store and they're like messing up my bagging, like on my.
Don't Bogart. Hey, I think it means
don't
to
Bogart that.
They're
like, hey man, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think it's because he always had a cigar in his hand, so it's like to like keep it with you.
Huh.
To like hold on to it. It's like don't do that.
Right.
Kind of a thing.
Right.
I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm curious.
Yeah, look it up right now. What does the phrase "don't Bogart" that mean? Oh my god! To selfishly take or keep something to hawk. Okay. especially to hold a joint. Perfect. There you go.
Marijuana, yeah.
There you go. You got new slang, people. Hey, don't Bogart, man.
Yeah,
puff,
don't
puff,
Bogart
pass.
chocolate fudge.
Yeah. I'm gonna use that. That's funny.
Humphrey Bogart.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's just strange because maybe it is just from things like The Great Movie Ride or whatnot, but I swear I've heard the name Humphrey Bogart before, and obviously I've heard the name Casablanca before, and now finally getting around to watching it. So these are the. What do you got?
So he's not in, and I as soon as I said it, I knew I was wrong. He is not in Gone with the Wind, but he's in the Maltese Falcon, which is another movie I had to watch. That is a Hitchcock film, which is one of his most famous. And if I remember the movie correctly, he made that movie really cheaply. I think he paid for that entire movie himself. And he actually was banned. There's a scene where he has to shoot the UN building. He had not shoot, but like he had to film the United Nations building, and they didn't want him to. They told him not to. So he actually snuck it in, like he basically sat in front of the UN building with the camera pointing there just to get the shot of the UN building.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like some spy stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, just throwing this out there. I went to the International Spy Museum when we took a trip to Washington, D.C. Did you know that people used to hide
There's
these
a
like
spy
radio
museum?
transponders? Oh, hell yeah, dude. There's a museum for everything in D.C., and there's a cool one. There's a really good International Spy Museum. If you haven't been, it's a lot of fun. But one of the things that'll stand out and that everybody loves to take pictures of is like a fake nutsack that pilots would put on, and they would hide like a radio in it because they used to think if like a pilot crashed, they wouldn't search like their private parts because they thought it was like weird. So they would make like fake scrotums and hide things inside of there.
Wow.
You'll see all the people love it, man. They take pictures.
See, Miranda, I'm not that weird for having a fake ball sack.
Yeah. Finally, that's the last piece of my collection.
I hear her laughing.
It's the only fake scrotum I need.
She's probably so
I'm gonna have to
confused
break
because
it.
she can't hear any of this
National
conversation.
Treasure 4. We're going to steal the fake scrotum in the International Spy Museum. Oh, my
That's
God.
the real
So, I
national
digress.
treasure.
That was all brought up by the spy camera that you just mentioned.
Anyways, the movie.
Yeah, back to Casablanca. Oh, my God.
Okay.
Millennials review, all right.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the story? Were you pretty entertained the whole time, or did you kind of start zoning out?
So the first time I watched it, I zoned out a little bit. It's a very melodramatic movie, and I will say that.
Yeah.
It is a very melodramatic movie, but it has moments where all of a sudden you're kind of pulled in. Like at the beginning, you're kind of like still getting a feel for the place. You get the idea that it's some almost speakeasy-ish kind of place. It's like it's a bar that's obviously like undercover for other shit. People are selling things. And then the guy gets chased out by the Gestapo. And then you're like, whoa, okay, something's going on. And then the other guy, Laszlo, comes in, and then the guy's like, no, I think you're really going to like this ring. And then there's that close-up of the ring with the symbol. That was interesting. There's a few moments in the film where you're kind of pulled in. But I think you have to see this movie as a drama. And more importantly, it's a romance movie. These were really big back in the day. And at the heart of this entire movie, you have the plot, which is, about two, one resistance fighter and one ex-resistance fighter. And then the woman that they both love. And all three of them are caught in Casablanca and they're trying to get out. That's really what it is. But underneath that, there's the story of Rick and Ilsa and how she cheated on her husband and when they were in Paris together. And it's sad because she really breaks his heart. And to the point where he can't even hear that song as time goes by, and just that moment where he asks his friend Sam to play that on the piano, and he's just listening to it, and when she's listening to it at the beginning too, you can just see that they're haunted by the memories of what they had together. Yep. And it really is. It's not that she's a bad person or whatever. It's that she just happened to be in love with two men, and it's just a shitty situation to be in, and it's a sad love story. And at the end, he kind of Rick gives her what she needs, not necessarily what she wants.
Love me, let me go.
Exactly. And it's I think the story is there. Is it melodramatic? Yes, because everything that this movie did and other movies that followed it became cliche, but only because it was good back then. People were doing it over and over because they were like, holy shit, this is amazing, this is such good writing. And so they kept doing it. And now for us, we're like,
this works.
Yeah, like, is that artillery or is it my heart? That like
Yeah.
It's
getting closer by the minute, darling.
right. But back then,
They're
exactly.
Like pulling each other in for
By
a
the
kiss,
sound of it, it's, and I love that he's like, it's the new German 77, and by the sound of it, it's only 35 miles away. Like, can you stay in the moment and love me? Like, you and your war.
He's like counting the thunder.
Yeah.
He's like, hold on. He like listens to it. He's like, 1, 2.
Shut up, Ilsa.
3.
You're distracting me.
That sucker's close. Yeah.
But no, it's you have to see that the other movie we watched, like The Seven Samurai and Some Like It Hot, those are from the 50s. This is 10, 15 years before that. Like this is the oldest movie you and I have seen for this podcast, and it's still pretty well paced, being that it was 80 years ago.
Yeah, true that. 80 years ago and climbing.
Yeah, and
if I tried to watch this when I was like 16 years old, no shot. I don't think
absolutely
I would have been able to
not. Me
get through,
neither.
just because you got to have some life underneath you, I think, to watch one of these things.
Yeah, and some culture. You need some culture.
You got to have a little culture. You got to have a little life. You got to have a little more experience.
Some yogurt. You got to have those probiotics.
You got to have some probiotics in your system, man. You gotta have some hair on your chest.
Right.
You know what I mean? Guy or girl, you gotta have some hair on your
chest. I have
like
three hairs.
3?
Yeah.
3 single
I
hairs.
I have no hair on my chest. Like really, people think I shave my arms, and I don't. I swear I'm trying. This is me trying to grow facial hair. I promise I'm trying.
As you push the bottle of Nair like out of the screen, you're like, yeah, people swear I shave, but I'm just buttery smooth all the time. Like pushing the Nair out of the frame.
Pieces of my hair falling out.
But me today, being the cultured, sophisticated,
probiotic filled,
handsome, probiotic filled, hairy chested man that I am, I enjoyed it. I got through this pretty well. I zoned out a little bit towards the middle, but not very much. I liked the speakeasy sense of this, where he was kind of helping these refugees get where they needed to go by telling them how to bet on the rigged games and everything. He's like, put it on 22, and the guy wins, and he's like, keep it there. Like, it was cool to see how his operation was going.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
I liked that. I don't know. It just made it feel really real. It made it feel like this could actually be going on in Casablanca, back in the day.
There's this underlying sense of like almost espionage and intrigue and mystery to the whole place. And
also, how is it possible that everybody in the 40s and 50s look exactly the same?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even, the thing is, they all look exactly the same, but they all look a way that I don't even know how to make myself look.
Right.
Like, how do you even get your hair to look like that? And somehow everybody, they were just using like Valvoline oil, like back in the day, in their hair and stuff. Like, I don't even know what they're like, oh, we're using Spitzva oil and fats for your hair, stuff that the FDA now would like tell you is toxic
it's full
and
of
whatnot.
uranium.
Yeah. Pure uranium comb right here. Every swipe through your hair will
Do you know that
make it stay perfectly still.
Back in the day, they used to sell uranium door to door to tell you, like they were selling it, saying that it was like a cure for radioactivity.
Jesus
Christ. Just buy your uranium rock. It'll protect you.
The lifespan of those salesmen and saleswomen was not
That
great.
sounds completely plausible. I'll take 3.
Sure. I watched that TV show, that awful TV show, like Worse Ways to Die or 1,000 Ways to Die or whatever. There was one where some old-time girl in a factory, they were making like glow-in-the-dark chemicals, and she like put them all over her body to try to like make herself seem sexy. So like when she was like having sex with her husband, when they turned the lights off, she'd be glowing, and she'd be like an alien fantasy kind of thing, and it was super toxic, and it killed her.
Aren't they still toxic? Like if one breaks, aren't you supposed to freak out?
If one breaks, just freak the fuck out. Don't call anybody. Just lose your shit.
Just running back and forth.
I think that's on the instructions on the back. If a glow stick breaks and gets on, you freak the fuck out. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still toxic, man. I don't think any of that stuff is good for you. But I mean, it's it seems like a lot of these old movies, if they have a big name, they generally seem to do pretty well on Rotten Tomatoes. This one got a 99% critic score on there, which is lower than the... What's up?
I think this is like number 3 on IMDb's like best movies, and that's why like the AFI list, the American Film Institute,
America's Funniest Home Videos.
Exactly. Their top 100 is different than IMDb's. And IMDb is interesting because you have a mix. I think that AFI, they're a little more snooty, I guess, with like what is up there, because these are like scholars. These are like the people you go to when you're looking for like transcripts of movies or essays, things like that. This is like the American Film Institute. IMDb is just the international or the Internet Movie Database or whatever, international.
Yeah. I think it's International Movie Database,
I think it is,
but I
yeah.
guess yeah.
So like
I'm pretty sure
they're
that's
a
what it
little
is.
less more like they're more open to changing. So like I don't think
Right.
that AFI has Lord of the Rings up on their list, but on IMDb, Lord of the Rings is up there. In all three movies are up there in different spots.
Yeah, I'm more so. I tend to favor the IMDb kind of argument.
I
you know?
agree. Because it's different. It's more of like the common person versus like the scholars with the AFI.
Yeah, it seems like it's more on here's a list of the top 100 movies you're going to enjoy the
Yeah.
most versus here's the list of the top 100 movies that are the most interesting from a critiquing
Exactly.
standpoint
It's
to
like
watch.
one is the critic and the other's the common man.
Oh, yes.
Slow
I
zoom
like what
in.
you did there.
All right.
I like what you did there.
It's like it's a
yeah,
hot tub time machine.
99. Oh my God. 90. Yeah, nice. 99% critic score, 95% audience score. I like it. I mean, I'm up there as just the layman who is sitting down on the couch to watch a movie for enjoyment, as the IMDb kind of database type viewer in this. I think for me, this movie probably gets a probably an 8.5 if I'm looking at the again, and I'm just trying to picture if I was not doing this podcast, if I was just gonna sit down and watch this movie on a Saturday afternoon to see, to put something on, I think I give this one probably an 8.5. It was entertaining, more so now because, again, the hair on my chest has allowed me to kind of understand this movie a little bit better. The probiotics really help, yeah. But I understand. Dude, my fridge is stocked with activity. But I understand that there's just more substance to this. It's interesting, and I like that it was the romanticized version. I think an 8.5 is kind of fair, just as far as an enjoyment version. If I was going to try to put on my critic hat, cue your face edited over my face, I would probably rate this more. I think I would give it a 9. I think I would put it up higher, just because there is a lot to appreciate in this film as just someone looking to enjoy a movie and watch something. I think a strong 8.5 for me. I enjoyed this movie. I'm glad we watched it.
I'm right there with you, actually. I think that a 99% for a movie like this is a little high. And I say that with a grain of salt because there is a lot to appreciate, like you said, and there's a lot to say about where movies have come in general. The cinematography in this movie is beautiful. It really is, especially for it being 80 years old. Like I said, you're playing with contrast, so the only tools you have are shadows and lights. That's what you have
Right.
to sell your shots. And I love the use of this lighthouse's light constantly to it almost kind of like the Lighthouse movie. It kind of gives you the sense of like worry, this constant turning.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of good things about this movie, and then as it's gotten older, there's also some issues with it. Like there's some of the melodrama, like the "Is it my heart?" Those are classic lines, but you have to also make way for new generations of movies to come in, and so with that said, I think I stand with you. I think I give it somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5. And I think appreciating it culturally as a film that was, made in 1942,
Right.
I think I'm going to give it an 8.5 because it's still a really good film and it's still interesting and you still like the characters and you still feel bad for Rick for not being able to get his happy ending and having to give up his love and you feel bad for that romance that got away from both of them in the middle of a world that was torn apart. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting, compelling story with beautiful cinematography that just aged a little bit is all. So I give it an 8.5.
Cool. I like it. Yeah, and I'm, again, just for the sake of, if most people watching this are going to have already seen Casablanca for sure, but it's also one of those things that I'll now recommend to people, just if nothing else, in a sense of, hey, look, this is a good movie. I'm not going to say it's the most entertaining movie you're ever going to watch, but if you haven't seen Casablanca as a movie watcher or a moviegoer, a movie lover, whatever, you kind of need to see this one, if nothing else, just to check it off that list,
Yeah.
so that you understand references and where film comes from. And that's kind of why we do these, Millennials Review Classics segments, because it puts in perspective things that we see now when we go to the film or when we go to the theaters and watch, Avengers Endgame. You start to get a little more respect for the way films used to be made. And I still think this holds up now for every of the classic movies that we've watched, and certainly with Casablanca. There was an aspect of care and attention and effort that went into these practical effects and things in these older movies. And not even, you don't have to go all the way back to the 40s to see that. You can see that in films from the 80s also, but there's a level of attention and care that comes with these practical effects in films, especially these older black and white films, that is lost on films today, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Not to say that makes films today necessarily worse or better. That's a different argument.
I think it's easier for them to get away with those same techniques today, and so the respect for that skill has kind of diminished.
Right.
Yeah, but you're right.
I agree with that. That's it, man. You got anything else for this one?
I don't. I like watching black and white movies. It kind of, you have to be in like a certain mindset for them, but it's interesting to watch these older films, and they throw so many lines out that are memorable, like that. Here's looking at you, kid.
Here's looking at you, kid. Yep. Well, here's looking at you, Chris. I love you, so I must let you go, and we're out of here. I don't know much, people. But all I know is that the problems of Chris and I don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world. So, Chris, you get on that plane, and I will go to wherever he said that he was going to go. I don't remember at the end of the movie.
I'll never leave you.
That's it. Millennials Review Classics. This was Critic and the Common Man again with another one. I hope you guys enjoy these black and white movies that we review. Come to you in black and white if you're watching. If you're just listening, jump over to the YouTube and give it a watch. So, again, if you guys like this video, drop a like down below. Casablanca, let us know what you guys think in the comments. If we missed any big points, or if there's anything you happen to know, any facts about this film that you think people should know, drop them in the comments down below. We will definitely read them. We will definitely respond to them. We really appreciate it. Hop over to our Instagram, Critic and the Common Man on Instagram. We're doing a lot of fun stuff over there. You can follow us there. We got a bunch of funny posts and a giveaway, which is still going on. We said we were going to do a giveaway at 200 followers. To enter, all you have to do, there's a post on our Instagram. You just have to like the post, and then you have to actually, I don't even think you have to like the post. All you have to do is you have to comment on the post. You have to be following us. And then you got to comment on the post. You got to tag at least one person that you think might like listening to our podcast.
First you say we have to like it, and now you're saying we don't have to like it. Your story's changing.
Go read it. It's been out there for a little. The story. What is this? This is a scam. Go over to Critic and the Common Man on Instagram. You guys can find us. You check for it. It's not that far back. When we hit 200 followers, we're going to do a $25 AMC gift card giveaway. And the theaters are starting to open back up, so now would be a great time to go ahead and enter, rather. So that's it. Critic and the Common Man review of Casablanca. Keep an eye out for more of these Millennials Review Classics. And Chris, we're out of here.
Here's looking at you.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Oh, God.
See you guys.
So good.